Hi everyone, welcome to TTK. I'm Chris King, and welcome to our first deep thoughts for this channel, at least. I had just finished filming the TTK intro, which you will find down below, of course, below this video. Deep thoughts should be posting, I believe, every Saturday. That can maybe be subject to change. I'm still working on the schedule, exactly how I'm going to be publishing, but you can expect one deep thoughts a week, starting, I guess, either this week or probably next week. Whenever this is uploaded, September 20th currently, just FYI. And so what I like to do with deep thoughts is basically self-explanatory. What I typically do on the channel, right, is I run down news, interpret it. I also review content, media pieces, right, like albums or films, whatever. But deep thoughts are different. Deep thoughts can be something as simple as, went to a concert and I'm gonna give my 2 cents on it and just kind of go into what happened creatively and business wise and the social experience, whatever. Or it could be something much more extensive like what we're gonna be doing today, which is the PS meeting of 2016, which is very early this month. Now, what I like to do with deep thoughts, basically, like I will go topic, one topic and just kind of delve into it by different kind of points that I have about the actual topic itself, and I'll just kind of, self-explanatory, so you'll follow along nicely, but let's get right into it. Deep thoughts, this is the first one for this channel. We're starting with the PS meeting 2016, which of course, as I mentioned earlier this month. Well, what does it say, right? We knew exactly what we're gonna get from this PS meeting 2016, and I had anticipated this for a very long time now. What we first got from the PS meeting, to make it long story short, is the PS4 Slim, which is now being called just the PS4. It's just kind of replacing your old PS4s, the kind of more rhombus shaped, kind of rectangle rhombus, kind of diagonal, beefy PS4, with the part matte, part gloss kind of material that they use. In favor of just an all matte kind of finished PS4, which is basically just kind of squished PS4 down, right? Obviously, we know that they removed some components such as the optical input, and instead of just kind of, I guess, focus a little bit more on the fan, because obviously PS4 got really loud. And so with it, let's just get right into it, right? The PS4 Slim confirms for release of September 15th, so as of today, it's 5 days ago, at a price point of $300. It has just got an HDR update, I believe, with 4.0, with the system software 4.0, and is, as I mentioned, replacing the old PS4 going forward. So this is not the PS4 Slim, it's just the PS4, but it's PS4 Slim. For those of you who have been in the Sony Nation, for the PlayStation Nation for a long time, you know what we're talking about. Now, the first point, confirmed for September 15th. I like that they just kind of announced it and then boom, it's there like in a week and about like a week and 3 days from when the event actually took place. Actually, about like a week and 1 day. The price point is where I struggle to see what is it that you're trying to accomplish, because we know that the PS4 Slim for them is definitely cheaper to manufacture, right? I also don't think that the PS4 Slim is actually necessary at this point, other than just for the sake of, hey, the Xbox S is coming out, let's put out a Slim model as well. Obviously, this has been something that's been in production for a long time, but I don't see why. The PS4 is already more powerful than the Xbox, and slimmer than the Xbox, and the PS4 is probably like the slimmest, I mean, not necessarily, but definitely very slim in comparison to the PS2 launch console and the PS3 launch console, both of which I had. The PS4 Slim is beautiful, absolutely beautiful. Not that really the hardware really matters at this point. It could be just like a little cube and I'd be happier with that. But the point is that, like, putting out this PS4 Slim, like why? Why? It does nothing besides, if anything, lose it. Like, you lose the optical out, which I don't use, but I know professional gamers, they have very expensive headphones. People in the industry, people from like IGN or GameSpot, you could say, I'm sure that they use the optical out for recording audio or outputting audio, what have you. But I just don't see the point. The HDR is a whole thing that we can get into, and we will as time comes, because To be perfectly honest, I do have an HDR capable TV, but I don't really use it. It doesn't really make sense. For explanation point, I have a Samsung SUHD TV, and on the Samsung SUHD TV 2016 model, HDR is an option. HDR Plus is called, and HDR Plus, like, it's a special viewing mode, and when I put it on it, like, if you guys know, it kind of turns like to kind of like a sepia, kind of really warm version, and it looks ridiculous. It makes no sense. Obviously, like, I'm not using it right or something, but I figured that HDR would be built into like these TVs moving forward. Like, why is it an option? I don't even understand. Like, why am I paying for the option to put HDR? Like, who would want an option? Like, it doesn't make any sense, right? So my mind is really not entirely wrapped around HDR just yet, because it's very early, very brand new technology. But I don't know. I mean, it's there, I guess. I've used PS4 4.0, and I don't see HDR as an option. I'm assuming it's built in, but again, it looks the same to me. So I don't really know what they're talking about, unless I'm missing something here, but it is what it is. Moving on to the piece de resistance, you know, the PS4 Pro. The PS4 Pro, now I've known about the PS4 Pro as far as like it was coming since, I want to say either December of last year or January of this year. I knew it was coming, and I had been anticipating PS4 Pro. The reason why I bought a Samsung SUHD TV, to be perfectly honest, was for the PS4 Pro. What we knew as a PS4 Neo right at that point, what you guys had known as a PS4 Neo. Now, my thought was, of course, you know, I had a 1080p TV, which was, you know, a nice TV, decent, like 47-inch size or something like that. And I just knew that like 4K, like, for me, I've known about 4K for the last, you know, 3 years or whatever, right? For other people, it's something very brand new and foreign to them, but I've known that like since day one that it came out, that was the future leap. What used to be with like 480p to 720, this is our next step. From 1080p is 4K. Hands down, that is the next future as far as resolution goes. Don't listen to 8K, 10K, whatever, 5K that's already kind of being experimented with. It's not gonna happen. The future is 4K, and after 4K, you know, after 8 years of 4K, then we can talk about 8K, or probably at that point would be like 12K would be my assumption. But for right now, it is 4K. 4K is definitely the future, and I just wanted to get in early, but I was trying to find a reason. And the reason why it's such a struggle is because, you know, I have cable, I have Netflix, I have HBO Go, I have, you know, YouTube. All these services don't stream in 4K. There's like literally a handful of pieces of content that you can enjoy in 4K, and it does not run well. And I have a decent laptop, decent internet, a pretty decent TV, all this kind of stuff, decent technology, and I can't run 4K that well. You need like a supercomputer, and even those things are, you know, pushing, like they're gonna burn a hole through your floor trying to run these games and content in 4K. It's just not there yet. We're about a year, probably 2 years too early for 4K at this point, okay? So it's still very early technology. It's not being used to its full potential, and that's a fact, okay? It's just not being used to its full potential. So let's get into the PS4 Pro. They mentioned it's targeted to the hardcore gamers, which in itself, controversial kind of statement, and those who have invested in 4K HDR displays. It is not a new generation, but rather a console SKU, and it will be the last PS4 in the lineup as far as PS4 goes, okay? So these are kind of more statements that have come out since this meeting. This is why I didn't want to have this video go up the day of, because I knew more information would be rolling out, and as you know, Sony has not been having a good 2 weeks, like in the last, last couple times since this meeting has happened. But targeted to hardcore gamers, it's baloney, because hardcore gamers, although I consider myself to be a hardcore gamer and I use a PS4, hardcore gamers are either already satisfied with using a PS4 or an Xbox One, or they're on PC. The PS4 Pro is kind of like, I'm not really sure who it's targeted for. What I think it's targeted for is people who have invested in 4K HDR displays, which I have for this specific product, right? And I know a lot of you guys are just wondering, well, okay, if you're spending this money on this kind of stuff, why don't you just do a really dope PC rig? I'll get into that in another video. I have my reasons. But like I said, I absolutely respect and absolutely am in awe of the power that PC can output. I absolutely love it. It's just that I just think that the price point is ridiculous. And that's someone who would love to invest in a PC gaming rig, but for me, it's all about the games. And my personal opinion, Sony PlayStation has the best exclusives, hands down. And I'm talking PC, talking PlayStation, talking handheld, I'm talking Xbox too. But that can change, who knows. So invested in 4K HDR displays, I'll tell you right now, it's not the time. It's not the time to invest in 4K. I invested very early because I thought that this thing would be ready to output 4K truly. I thought it'd be more powerful than what it actually is. But I kind of jumped the gun, and it seems like Sony did as well. It's not a new generation, but rather a console SKU. I think of it as the iPad Pro. Think of it as an iPhone 7 Plus. That's kind of really about what you're getting. For like the extra $100, you're kind of getting just like that name tag at the very end. It's a little bit bigger, it's a little bit quicker, it's a little bit beefier. It claims it can output in 4K, but we actually know it's just up-res 4K, but it is what it is. The last in the PS4 lineup, which is kind of important to note because it says that next year, like, we're not going to get a PS4 Pro Plus, PS4 Pro 2, or anything like that. The next piece of hardware I think we'll see from Sony will probably be the PS5. When? I'm not sure yet, but we'll have to see and wait. Specs: upgraded GPU, boosted CPU clock rate, 1 terabyte hard drive. Now, I had a very extensive kind of chart that details all the different differences in hardware, but off the top of my head, I believe the GPU is running at like about 4.2 teraflops, whereas we know the Scorpio is going to be running at 6 teraflops. Boosted CPU clock rate, and the 1 terabyte hard drive again, which is the PS4 should have launched with a 1 terabyte hard drive, to be perfectly honest, but it's not really much, and so for actually $100, it's kind of worth it to get that much more output from the GPU. Think of it as like you're getting like half of a graphics card or something like that and just kind of slapping it on. It makes about sense from the price point. The demos that they showed were footage running in real-time PS4. Of course, streaming it not in 4K, but they're supposedly had been playing it on a 4K projector inside the room. Forward compatibility will patch old games to be ready for 4K, emphasis on HDR technology. So it's nothing new about coming into it, but nothing really mind-blowing. The dates, pricing, November 10th, 2016 for $399. Now, it lines up again exactly where I had anticipated from January that it would be released this November. And the price point, it makes sense for what it is, but at this point, this is why I said I think the Slim should have been cheaper. I think the Slim should have been $250, so you really see that, the PS4 Pro, it's a perceived value, right? $250 to $400. You can get a PS4 Slim for $300 and you don't have a 4K TV, there is no reason to buy this machine, I'm telling you right now, okay? The frame rates, hopefully will be improved. We didn't get a guarantee from PlayStation that every single game will have improved frame rate, which in my opinion, everything should be running at 1080p 60 frames today. I don't care what your game is, and if your game cannot handle it, cut the game in half. I want all games running at 1080p 60 frames in 2016. Okay, it's not going to happen, of course, but that's what I had wanted. I can care less a little about the resolution just yet because we're not there yet. But I would have just preferred them come out and say, from now on, PS4, we're running every game 1080p 60 frames. That would have been, to me, very awesome. But these guys just kind of rushed it out. So who knows? No 4K Blu-ray drive. This was a big controversial thing after the meeting because Xbox One S can play 4K Blu-rays, can stream 4K content. The PS4 Pro can stream 4K content, but like I said, cannot run 4K Blu-ray drives. Now, I'm okay with this because Andrew House has come out and stated that he had mentioned they are moving to streaming. They don't believe that is really a necessity at this point in time. I would assume that let's say PS5 will probably have a built-in will have a 4K Blu-ray drive, but I don't even want optical discs anymore. I know it's very early technology with streaming, and game streaming is like super risky, but even we have downloadables. Like, why can't we just do that? I mean, the PS4 and Xbox One, they already download all the games to the hard drive anyway. It's time to get rid of optical discs, you know. And this is someone who has used a service like GameFly in the past to save money, but I would be willing to move forward with no optical drives because it just makes everything cheaper. But if you notice, you know, if you go into a Best Buy or Target today, there's still music albums on CD, which blows my mind. So it's not going anywhere. So there will be a hard drive, I think, for a while. But and if not that, well, yeah, I mean, yeah, there'll probably be a drive there, maybe until like a PS5 Pro or something. They'll probably take it out just to experiment with it, but who knows. New peripherals, new controller. The new controller, this is not the new controller, but it can basically display the touch bar, the light bar here, which I think is very cool because this light bar didn't make a lot of sense besides for Playroom and stuff like that, because you couldn't even see the color, and I would love to see the color because sometimes it displays cool information. I think Last of Us or like Killzone, I think it displays like, you know, health or how far an enemy is from you, stuff like that. So it'd be cool to actually be able to see the light bar when you're playing the game. It also can tell you like, oh, I'm player red, player green, whatever. So who knows? New camera. It's just from everything I've seen, it's basically just a different cosmetic. Cosmetically, it's a different camera. It can also kind of adjust a little bit different to kind of for like VR users. So that's fine, I guess, but whatever. Vertical stand. Pointless. New platinum wireless headsets for the PS4 and PS4 VR. If I end up purchasing my VR, then I will get a headset like that, but otherwise I'm fine with that one. Again, I'm a hardcore gamer. I just don't like headsets because like I use headsets all day. I'm streaming music all day. Last thing I want to do when I come home is put on a big old headset. I know sound is awesome, but I have a really pretty dope soundbar and subwoofer, so I'm kind of good. Thoughts. Now, I think the PS4 Pro, again, I had anticipated it. I bought a TV for the PS4 Pro. I just think that it wasn't necessary just yet. And the reason why is because the PS4 is already better than the Xbox One from a spec standpoint, you know? Even the Xbox One S, like, the Xbox One S is like a little bit nicer than the PS4, but again, not by much. And I'm pretty sure the PS4 still has a better GPU than it's like DDR5, right? And the Xbox is DDR4, DDR3, something like that. It just doesn't make any sense. Like, why? Why don't you guys just wait? Sony has prided themselves with always having the best from a technological standpoint console since the PS1. Whenever they put out a console, it's been objectively the best hardware from a spec standpoint, right? You're still in the lead with the PS4. The Xbox One S, the Xbox One S is a year too late, okay? And actually, it's the worst timing because Scorpio's next year, literally a year away. Like, I wouldn't recommend anyone buy the Xbox One S unless you've never had an Xbox, I guess. But even then, it's like, if you didn't have an Xbox now, just wait till next year, you know? You can play Gears next year. You can play Forza Horizon 3 next year. Like, I don't even know what to tell you. Like, just don't, you know? But I do think that the PS4 Pro is set to compete with the Xbox One S, okay? Which in that case, the PS4 Pro one-ups the Xbox One S, okay? Just my opinion. But I think that it is not fair to compete it with the Scorpio. Scorpio is much more powerful than what we can anticipate from the PS4 Pro. It's about 2 teraflops more powerful. Not just that, but my assumption is that this Xbox Scorpio is going to be much more aimed like an Xbox 2 or a Xbox 720 kind of a thing, rather than an Xbox, you know, whatever. I do think that, you know, they'll be true about the Xbox One games still running on Scorpio, but Scorpio, you just can't really compare, you know, from a graphical standpoint. The fact that Scorpio is going to be running 4K native, that's not even like the same generation, you know what I mean? So I just think that it's not fair to compare. So in that case, who's going to have the best hardware this year in 2016? It's probably still going to be PlayStation up until next year. I think that the timing, the price point, all of it makes sense. From a hardcore kind of technical standpoint, it's not impressive at all. It's just like an iPhone S basically. It's like, here's some tweaks, runs a little bit better, a little bit quieter, whatever. Battery's better. That's kind of the same we're getting. $100, not a big deal. from 300 to 400. I would just say just get a PS4 Pro, right? Unless you don't have a 4K TV, then don't do it, you know. So again, not impressive, but I think that it does, in my opinion, still a little bit better than the Xbox One S, but who knows? I mean, we'll have to wait and see. So we're gonna get more into this console and what it means for the future of it in a future Deep Thoughts. So look out for that. As I would recommend is definitely subscribing to this channel, because you will be notified when I put up a video, just like you do with other videos, but other channels. But I don't output a lot of videos, so I'm not gonna bombard your feed with them. It's about one video a day, one Deep Thoughts a week. So definitely subscribe to TTK, and please give me your feedback down below. It doesn't have to be a console war, guys, you know, or PC, whatever. Like, everyone, as long as like you guys are enjoying your games, that's what matters. You know, there's always going to be better technology. Guess what? Guy in the back who has like a NVIDIA 1080X with liquid cooling and all this kind of stuff. I respect your rig, and it's running at 12 teraflops, whatever. That's awesome, but in about 6 months you're going to be outdated anyway. So don't worry about it, guys. Just as long as you guys are running the games that you want to play, that's what really matters. And besides, I think the streaming is the future anyway. So let me know where you guys stand as far as gaming goes, because that's really gonna tell me like what I can put out for the rest of the year and the next year, just kind of like where we're at as far as technical standpoints. If you guys don't really care about resolution at all this stuff, let us know down below.